report is ready, it will be handed over to President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. And that report, we shall make public.
Sisi tumechoka kuletewa jambo kutoka kule juu. Sisi tunataka bottom-up approach. Na sisi hatujakuwa na haja ya kuwa na mabadiliko ya katiba.
If you want to reduce the ethnic tension and ethnic politics and ethnic mobilization, the best route to go is parliamentary system.
BBI inakuja ni tsunami, itafakia watu wengi. What a paradox. Unawezaje sema hii kitu ni ya kujenga daraja, lakini itakuja na karika na mafuriko, itakuja kufakia watu wengine. That is a complete contradiction.
About a year and a half since the handshake, its political product is lying somewhere in a neat gift wrapper. Tonight, waiting to reach the hands of President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. But politicians cannot wait, and they have been on a speculation overdrive, with the debate on the presidential versus parliamentary system of governance taking center stage. Tonight, we talk to Senate Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen and National Assembly Minority Leader John Badi. Joining the conversation, use the hashtag Newsnight on Twitter and text us on 22422. Thank you, gentlemen, for making time for us tonight. Tsunami imekuja, Honorable Murkomen. But before that, I've been told to ask how your arm is fast.
Well, it's getting better. This is the second day without a sling. I still have another, according to my doctor, another 2 months to go through physio.
Okay.
I hope next year, I'm just hoping that I'll come back to football. I feel very bad.
Good.
But I hope I'll come back.
We'll meet there on the pitch then.
Yeah.
Okay. So, tsunami imekuja ama what's happening?
We've been told, so I don't know.
By who?
The former Prime Minister said that those who are opposed to BBI is coming, it's a tsunami, it will sweep some people. And from the clip you are showing there, it's a clear, as I said, it's a paradox. Because, this is about building bridges. And we're being told that we are building bridges to end previous political divisions. But since the inception of the handshake, we've been threatened, people have always been saying that it is about dealing with so-and-so,
You said it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about, in fact, they insisted that Deputy President should not be involved. Other political leaders like ourselves should not even talk about it because it's a private affair between the President and the former Prime Minister. Former Prime Minister went public and said that it's a tsunami, it will sweep some people. So, honestly, from the clip and my speech last week, and I insist here, it's been a paradox that a process that is about building bridges has been about threatening people, about the dangers that are ahead of us and the destruction that is going to happen, instead of talking about how best we have united as a country. And if you ask me, Hussein, maybe this debate should have been about what have we achieved since the handshake days?
And I'll come to that.
How has it changed our job creation, improved the economy? What development projects have we done? Except the perceived calmness, what are the real issues that we can take home?
I'll come to that.
That should be the discussion.
I'll come to that, but when you keep saying they told us that it is for fighting one person, I just remember you saying it. I don't know who told you.
No, exactly. You remember it was in public that even Badi and many of the ODM leaders, remember when Joho said that Babas told us to fight William Ruto, and he said that in Busia. And that is a deputy party leader of ODM. It's been on record several times, ODM leadership, left, right, and center, saying that we've only been told that it's a handshake between the former Prime Minister and the President, but we must go full throttle to fight the President. Do you remember that I represented Aisha Jumwa, who was expelled from the party, through a letter that came from Badi, that she was not loyal to be supporting and working with the Deputy President. Those are the things that really pointed out to the fact that there was a lot of hypocrisy on the discussion about building
In other words, Honorable Murkomen, you could not care less whatever the report says.
No, that is a different, that's a different issue. I am
because you've rubbished it before.
I have said...
You have rubbished the process before. You've rubbished BBI before.
There is something that we must appreciate, Hussein. There are two things that have been sold differently, and I don't know if I'm the only one in the country who has got it differently. Handshake as a I don't know if it's a project or an ideology, has been presented different from a BBI report. And the BBI report must be separated because we cannot...
Handshake is the product. The
BBI is the product of the handshake. One of the products of the handshake.
Yeah.
It's not the only product. And the other product has been the political conversation that you've seen me criticize. When it comes to the BBI itself, the only criticism I can put forth about BBI is that it has been run in complete violation of our constitution, in the sense that it's never been a process that involves the people. It has no accountability. Everybody is doing guesswork, including,
guesswork, you mean?
Guesswork.
They've been calling, okay, the last I remember, they've been calling for people have been appearing before the BBI, people and institutions and organizations at the beginning.
Correct.
Can I come to that? Let me get first.
I just want to conclude that so that it doesn't hang, that point doesn't hang, is that the point has been that even the former Prime Minister is saying we don't know what's in the report. So I'm just saying, compared to the Yashpal Guy process where I worked, the CKIC process, this has been one of the, and this process is talking about uniting the country, changing the constitution, among other things. Yeah. And yet it is shrouded with mystery and complete secrecy, in a serious violation of Article 10 of the Constitution that talks about public participation, inclusivity, accountability, openness. If this process is about the people and not about any hidden agenda, then it should be as open as possible.
But it was open and people were giving their inputs, and that is why now they'll give a report, as far as we know, isn't it? I'll come down. Let me first get Honorable Mbadi. Yeah, Honorable, to respond to what you've been saying.
Yeah, quickly, let me just say that I think we are forgetting the history and the background around the BBI. First, we must agree that just before the handshake, this country was so divided into two. And that is not something that we can repeat over and over again. Immediately after the handshake, the two leaders made it clear to us what it was all about. And they spoke and told us that we have signed an MOU. If you look at that MOU, there are 4 parts to the MOU. Number 1 was the background. The first was introduction, then background, where they were giving background information about the history of this country, how we have been divided and how we have been fighting after every election. Then from there, they moved and talked about the issues, the 9-point agenda.
And we have that, and we can run that.
Yes, which you can run about the ethnic antagonism, etc., devolution. They talked about
development, ethnicity, corruption,
national ethos, etc. Then they went to the last part, which is the way forward. And they said that the two of them have agreed on a program to actualize that objective. And that is, then they went ahead and said we have appointed 2 individuals, the Secretariat, and they went ahead and constituted a team, the 2 of them. And this team was given the TOR and the 9-point agenda and asked to go across, to go throughout the country and collect views of Kenyans on the 9-point agenda. So it is not true that we really don't know what these people are talking about, because they have a TOR, terms of reference. Finally, I want to say that as opposed to other initiatives that I have seen around, including the Punguza Mzigo, the efforts by the governors, etc., the efforts even by the Senate, what this team has done differently is that these people have gone to the 47 counties, Hussein. In fact, initially they wanted to sample, but you realize they asked for more time and went and collected views, and they've been doing it in the open. There has been public participation. What now we should be waiting for is the report and ask ourselves whether what we were watching is actually what is captured in the report. And further to that, the report of BBI is not a bill. It will not be taken to the assemblies. It will not be taken to parliament. They are presenting a report to these 2 leaders, and it is a report. And therefore, Kenyans are still going to have an opportunity, the way I understand it, to even discuss and agree on some of these findings before finally they are conceptualized and put into a comprehensive legislative document or proposal. In my view, I think that, to me, there is no process that is going to be 100% perfect. But at least it is an initiative. Now, Honorable Murkomen, Senator Murkomen has talked about they were told. Personally, I've not heard anyone saying, don't come to this handshake, it is for the two people. If it was said maybe by an individual who is reckless in his statement, I don't think you can attribute it to Mbadi. I have never said that. But I want to also add that when you are building bridge, it must, if we take
the
that...
two leaders have said
yes,
repeatedly that it's between
yes,
them.
Yes, and if you are building a bridge, if we are to use that analogy, sometimes there was a bridge that was put up in my area called Oria, along river Kuja. That bridge, when it was put, there were people who were careless, who were working on the bridge, and they were careless. They were swept by the floods. So chances are that when you are building a bridge, you can be swept. So that, my friend here should also know that when Kenyans are committed to building bridge and you are not cooperating in the best way to put up the bits and pieces, the metals and the screws, and
cooperating is the
you
word
can
you're using.
easily fall to the water and you get swept. And I think that is what some of us are saying, that you cannot stand on the way of Kenyans to realize reform. This country has suffered. After every election cycle, we have issues, and we cannot assume it.
There's a tweet here. You respond. Isaac Mudusi on Twitter says, they told us BBI is for uniting Kenyans. But the look of things, BBI is like any other debate. There are those that will be for and others against. That is also division. Do you intend to have yet another BBI to unite the country after that debate?
You see...
And you're saying very well that there's some...
My understanding is that you sometimes cannot get a consensus from everybody. There will be a few individuals who may resist.
Just like in any other political process.
In any other dispensation. And I would tell you, so long as the country shows, at least let me put it this way, you said, one thing that I'm happy about is when the 9 points agenda came out, at least there was no resistance to the 9-point agenda. I didn't hear those who were complaining that we don't agree, that these are the issues that are dividing this country. And to that extent, therefore, this country is united. What we are now witnessing are people who are uncomfortable. And it is because there are individuals or the people in this country who are not sure about what the BBI is likely to produce. And they think whatever BBI is going to produce may work against their selfish political agenda. It is not our duty really to help your individual political ambitions.
Okay. Who are you referring to now?
I am talking about many people who think it is affecting their... And I'm sure you know, you can listen to Murkomen. Murkomen has already put himself in a corner. And he's saying there are people who are the other side who are supporting BBI and are telling them, if you don't join us...
Murkomen respond to this as well, together with Honorable Mbadi. This is Abdille Dahir says, ask why Jubilee is rejecting a document, I don't think it's Jubilee in totality, rejecting a document they did not see, and why ODM is supporting a document they did not see.
Can I just say this?
You're supporting it already, you haven't seen the report.
I'll answer. Do you want me to answer first?
I go first.
Simple. We are supporting the initiative. We are supporting BBI to produce the report. And we have said, because the two leaders signed and said we are giving this team 9-point agenda to go and look into. When we see people who are opposing the team and the process, which is going to generate a report, then we say you are wrong. So what we are supporting...
You talked about the product, which will be the report, saying that it will sweep, and you've given the analogy of the bridge, and it will sweep some people with their selfish individual political interests.
Probably you didn't understand me. I'm saying there is this process which is helping us. This is a building bridge initiative. It is a process. It's like we are working on, we are constructing a house. And so if you are challenging and always opposing the construction of the house, which is supposed to give us shelter, the shelter, we have not gotten the shelter, but we are likely to get the shelter. Okay. So if you are fighting the construction of the house, we'll tell you, you may get injured. So that is the warning that we are giving Murkomen and others who are opposing an initiative that the country feels is likely to produce a report that may unite the country.
Honorable Badia started by saying that Building Bridges initiative was founded on a divided country. But you know the division that was there in 2017 elections was not natural, it was not spontaneous, it was man-made. And the main beneficiaries or purported beneficiaries of the handshake created a crisis. Nothing has been given as a solution. You remember that one of the partners of the handshake was supposed to be charged for treason.
He was never charged for treason.
You know for sure that his supporters were charged for treason. You know Miguna is out of the country because he was deported in a process that dealt with those issues. You know for sure, you know it's important to admit first the history itself.
Yeah, but
that it is a man-made crisis.
What is a man-made crisis?
Man-made crisis was rejecting elections, rejecting election process, rejecting, creating street protests and all those kind of violence and resistance. Those issues are the ones that led us to, you know, forcing the country to go for handshake. Number two,
these are people who are exercising their democratic right.
Absolutely, I don't refuse that, but I'm saying.
But then your party leader. Your party leader and the president
really
thought it right.
Absolutely.
To engage.
What would he have done? What would he have done? It was the lesser evil, because the president would have continued to take someone to court. He would have charged the former prime minister. The country would have continued a crisis. There would be protests. Remember,
but he acknowledged the division.
Remember, absolutely. But I'm saying that
for the sake of the unity of the country,
that division was created by violation of an existing constitution. It was not a division that became spontaneous or it happened by accident. It is not a division that you can guarantee anyone today that it will not happen again in 2022, because it's not the text. The constitution itself is not the creator of that problem. It's the violation of the constitution that creates that problem. Number two, saying is, I want to say, and I thank Honorable Mbadi for being really honest. We have a process of building bridges. We don't know who are the contractors, but we know for sure that there are threats being given that the contractor who is there is not guaranteeing the safety of the workers of building bridges, and is already threatened that any person who is going to cross this bridge is likely to be swept by the water, which is a paradox. And I keep insisting that the language, the diction, the behavior of every person who is involved in this process, and particularly one of the partners, which is in the former prime minister's side, is actually threats, intimidation, and force. Yet, this is the same process that is supposed to convince people. It's like evangelism. It's supposed to reach out to others and tell them, this is what we are doing. If you didn't understand, we will want to take you through this process, not to threaten them. And as we speak at the moment, we have a process. And my opposition of the building bridges process, not the product. I don't know whether the product will be good for the country or not. And again, Honorable Mbadi has made a very good admission that this product is not for Kenyans. He has said that this product is for the two leaders. It goes before them. How they consume and process and then disseminate it to the public will determine how that document is going to make sense. Okay. For me, and I want to speak frankly, the President of the Republic of Kenya, who is the party leader of Jubilee, called us for a meeting at Jubilee leaders and said that we want to have a building bridges process. I've gone to this handshake process because we want to unite the country. We want to end the process of politics. We want to end the process of campaign. We want to focus on Big Four. We are not going to engage ourselves in any political processes that is going to divide the country. But the conversation already coming from building bridges, including between me and Badi, as can be seen in the public, and between us, even politicians out there, has not solved that problem of building bridges. It has actually, as a matter of fact, it has destroyed the few bridges we had that were in place.
Although there are those, including you, that have not been supporting this process from the onset.
Because you know, saying you must appreciate one thing, that immediately when the handshake happened, you remember I was among the first people to support.
Yes.
But soon thereafter, threats came in. It didn't even last 2 months. And as a result of that, we have been cautioning the public about the misgivings about these building bridges processes, because a process is as good as the product. Your
party leader, as you respond, your party leader has been talking about a referendum and the year of change, and that a referendum will come. I mean, we should be rest assured, Honorable Mbadi, that there's a referendum on the way.
Well, I still don't know what the Building Bridges initiative is going to produce.
You've heard what your party leader has been talking about.
Let me put it clearly.
Yeah.
my party leader has said, if Hussein, you have been listening to him, that there are chances. He has not said that there will be a referendum.
He said.
No.
He said there will be change in this country.
Change does not mean a referendum.
And I'll get you the quotes.
Yes. Change is not synonymous with a referendum. That is where we make mistakes. We start interpreting what people say.
He has talked about the need for referendum. He has talked about different types of
including at the University of Nairobi.
But you see, let me also tell you,
when he was launching
let me also tell you saying, if you look at that document, MOU, there are chances that we may have referendum because you may change the system of government. And if you change the system of government, there will be a referendum. Yeah. So we have to think also. But let me put it this way. You know, Murkomen is talking about these two leaders agreeing somewhere that they have said that this report is for them. Far from it. I have said the report will be handed over to the two leaders.
And what they do with
They agreed. Once the report is handed over to them, the content of the report is going to inform the next step that we are going to take as a country. If they had already decided on what to do, there was no need of engaging this team of Building Bridges initiative to go across the country. But again, if the fear that Murkomen has is because Honorable Raila Odinga has been issuing threats, according to him. Doesn't he trust his own party leader? Is he saying that the president is a conman? He called them to State House or wherever they met as Jubilee and told them exactly why he Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and Raila Odinga decided to shake hands. The same happened to John Mbadi. Raila Odinga called us for a meeting at Orange House and told us exactly why he went into this process. And we bought it, and I'm still supporting it. Why is it that Murkomen, even after being called by his party leader, he still is skeptical? It means either he doesn't trust his party leader or he is just misbehaving. He's indisciplined. And that is the kind of indiscipline that you cannot find in ODM, at least with the leadership of ODM. We can't be that indisciplined.
Mbadi is, of course, you know where he wants to go. He wants to gag me that...
No, I'm not gagging you. I'm just expressing myself.
In ODM, and particular certain section of ODM, there is only one choir. And when the choir master calls for a certain direction, everybody say, yes, sir. In Jubilee, at least, we have democracy. You saw our members of parliament from the central region, Mount Kenya region, raising certain concerns. You've had us raise concerns. We allow robust debate. You've seen the majority leader in the National Assembly go public about his personal views about the system of government that should be in place. And so, whereas Mbadi comes from a place where there is one-man choir, we have actually diversity in Jubilee. So that's to start.
But parties have positions,
let me say,
right?
yes, exactly.
Although he asked you a specific question, which I asked you before about
Number two,
the president
being
your party leader.
Let me come to that. Number two is that if you've seen our public pronouncement, and even including here, our problem is not with the president. Our problem is with his partner in the handshake. Because it's not the president who has said there will be a tsunami. It's not the president who has been issuing threats. In fact, Mbadi, the constant factor in the history of broken promises is the former prime minister.
Okay.
And let me when we caution the people, we are cautioning because of history. Remember, when they came together with the former president, Daniel Arap Moi, before the 2002 elections, it was about building bridges. But you know how that ended in terms of breaking KANU and ultimately what happened in 2002, and the victim was the current president. If you see 2007, the same, when they were with NAC, how it happened until the country found itself in the situation is. So we are saying nothing stops us who are in Jubilee to caution the nation about the deceit. Let me complete.
Yes, your party leader trusted him.
I'm coming to that. About the deceit of those we're working with.
Okay.
Nevertheless, it does not mean that if people are deceitful, we cannot try as much as possible to evangelize to them to change their ways. But what is important is to put the facts on the table, and that's what we are trying to do,
okay,
so that even as they speak with the president, and they deal with the president, whatever they're dealing with, you know, the facts are there for Kenyans to be able to control.
So the president went in this.
The president of the Republic of Kenya, I want to tell you this. I trust in the President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Okay.
I still stick to the fact that there will be no referendum. Badi thinks there will be referendum because
you think
yes,
there won't be a referendum?
I still believe that
from the BBI report.
Let me just say, I still believe. Like, I want to stick to this. I want to believe that what the president told us, that the BBI process was not about changing the constitution remains. It was not about elections. It was not about 2022. And that it was about the Big Four agenda and uniting the country. If that sticks to be, that is what I believe President Uhuru Kenyatta to have said, and I believe he will stick to it. In fact, and I want to say this, when I saw our friends being a bit agitated about the system of government that are likely to be proposed and so forth, I was asking myself, as a Jubilee supporter, why would I have to be worried so much about system of government? Because you have a president who has assured you that there will be no changing the constitution.
So what if
that is list of my worries?
What if there's a proposed change in the constitution?
If there will be a proposed change of constitution, by who? By the BBI.
Yeah.
Then basically it means therefore that they are going against what the president intended, and means therefore as Jubilee we will have to meet again and take a position.
Okay. Either way, this former prime minister that you don't really trust was trusted by your party leader, the president.
Not necessarily. You know, let me tell you this.
Let me finish on
you must say. Don't say it was trusted. They are building trust.
It was trusted and they went into a
conversation.
And there's been an ongoing process in the BBI initiative, and people are now waiting for the BBI report. So he trusted him. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
And you're saying you have a problem with the former prime minister. I'm assuming you should be having a problem with your party leader, is it?
I don't have a problem with him. And remember Hussein, let me tell you something. President Uhuru Kenyatta, I voted for him 3 years consciously.
Because he went into this.
No, just say, I voted
on your behalf, right?
I voted for him 3 years consciously.
Yes.
President Uhuru Kenyatta, I have no doubt, has the best interests of this country. He has demonstrated in the past, even in 2002, by conceding elections, unlike his partner. And I don't think the president had a choice about extending a hand of friendship to the former prime minister, because you make the country better by even dealing with your worst competitors and people who have the worst behaviors. Okay. The thing we are just insisting here is that we must not be dragged back to the politics of deceit. Right. Where on one hand we're saying we're building bridges, on the other we're threatening people with tsunamis.
Again, we're still waiting for that report, but what would you expect, Honorable Mbadi, and especially on this debate? You'll respond to him, you're at liberty to respond to him as you answer this, and especially this debate of the governance structure. What would you support? Of course, as ODM, we've talked about.
Let me first, I'll come to that. I'll quickly touch on that. Let me say this. You see, Murkomen is saying he trusts the president. I think after the handshake, Murkomen should be honest and say he doesn't trust the president.
Why does he want to speak?
No, can I just finish?
Let him finish.
No, why
it's okay. You can respond to him.
This is Akel Hussein.
It's okay, just give him his time. Just give him his time first.
This is the same thing I've been saying. Instead of someone making his point about what he thinks, he wants to speak on my behalf because he believes in destroying bridges.
He can't speak on your behalf. You're here and you'll respond to him.
You see, the paradox.
You're taking his time now. You're taking his time. Honorable Mbadi, you speak first.
The paradox of this conversation of building bridges has been that one party would like to sow seeds of discord within Jubilee.
I'll still give you time.
Let him focus with his own party.
Hussein, Murkomen has mentioned me a number of times here, and I've not complained. By the way, I was very quiet. Yeah. So I would beg you, my brother, just to be quiet and listen to what I'm saying. You see, immediately after the handshake, Murkomen, I think there are a number of examples of why I believe you don't trust the president. When the president talks about fighting corruption, you criticize that. When the president talks about the dams, which are supposed not to be done, you criticize that. The building bridges, you criticize. So, Mau Forest, everything about government, about what Uhuru Kenyatta stands for, you have been talking negative about. So I don't see this trust. But anyway, let me leave that point. Let me come to your question. Yeah. What do I expect? We gave this team 9 points. Or rather, they were given 9 points through the MOU between our two leaders. These are people we trust as our leaders. The President, Uhuru Kenyatta, I believe should be trusted by Jubilee. Our side, we also trust Raila Amolo Odinga. And that is why we have religiously supported and followed him. These two leaders, Kenyans asked them publicly, in the media, everywhere, in churches, to come together and save the nation from the brink of collapse. And they gave the 9-point agenda to this Building Bridges initiative. Kenyans didn't criticize that or oppose the 9-point agenda. What I expect is BBI to address the 9-point agenda.
Which have been addressed before in this country, haven't they?
Some have been addressed.
I'll read a tweet here from Father Julius Muranga Gishuru, who says, BBI is a cover-up of the TJRC outcome, which is rotting in Parliament. Open TJRC document and all answers are there. Stop taking Kenyans for a ride.
Has he read properly the TJRC report? You know, the Kenyans talk about things they uplift from the press. This is the problem with many Kenyans. They don't read even the documents they talk about. Has TJRC addressed all the 9-point agenda?
Of course not.
So,
it has stopped.
So why, then again, and there is nothing wrong, Hussein, from reviewing
the real fabric here. The fabric here, BBI, you cannot deny, is unity and cohesion.
Yes,
TJRC played a key role in that. You cannot deny that.
But Hussein, listen, even getting that TJRC report, someone needs to bring it. Look, the team that went, that was chaired by what is his name? The team that went to Naivasha to do our constitution, 2010 constitution.
Nzamba
the 2010 Nzamba Kitonga. They just picked the Bomas drafts and worked on it. So what is wrong with BBI? Even getting TJRC report, get the Bomas draft, get all these documents, listen to Kenyans, go to Homa Bay, go to Garissa.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So what is wrong?
There's nothing wrong with that. Some people see hypocrisy in parliamentarians when there are reports like the TJRC report, which addresses cohesion, and hasn't been implemented fully, and we're now moving to something else.
That is why we are saying.
And we're now moving to something else to address cohesion.
But don't you think the two leaders identified that? The two leaders identified that there is a problem with all of us.
But there are people in Kenya who also see other problems, isn't it? It doesn't have to be them only.
How I wish you allowed me to say what I want to say.
Please go ahead.
The two leaders, if you read the document, the MOU, they recognize that this country is so divided. And they even say that the two of them symbolizes, I wish I could read for you that paragraph, symbolizes that division, the two of them.
No doubt, yeah.
And so they admitted that all of us are so divided, but we need a solution.
Okay.
What is the solution? They agreed, the two of them, who are symbolizing this division, to come together and come up with a program.
Okay.
And the program, they thought, could be this team.
Right,
if anyone thinks otherwise, why can that person come forward and suggest the solution?
No doubt about it.
In fact, I will tell you, saying, if I was Murkomen and his team, what they would be doing now would be to give, first, they would have given their views to BBI. Two, they should wait for this report to come out and engage with us, even in the system of government. If they are for parliamentary or mixed system or presidential, let them engage with us.
You are for parliamentary, isn't it? But this viewer...
No, I haven't spoken to that.
You will.
I have said...
I'm talking about ODM.
Yes.
What it said before.
For me...
But Father Julius here is talking about the fact that, yes, I mean, you're at liberty to decide and do another report and all that, and get information and extras from other reports. However, he's talking about, in other words, what guarantees even this will be implemented if we have reports that have addressed these issues that haven't been implemented?
Then if you are saying that our two leaders took us for a ride, then it will not saying
that. I'm asking you.
That is why I'm saying the two leaders came together and told us that mistakes have been done before. We want to do things differently.
Okay.
We are creating this team. This team will produce a report.
Right.
Then we implement that report. Why should we start doubting the implementation of a report that has not come out?
Because
if it fails,
this view
then
is
we will
because
say
there are
our
other reports
leaders
that haven't been implemented.
Yes, and that is why we are where we are, and that is why the two leaders decided to say that we have to do things differently.
I think I will start from where Mbadi was trying to say that I have been opposed to many things that the president raised. First of all, the level of sycophancy that demonstrated by Mbadi shocks me, Hussein. And these are the people who have been shielded by opposition for too long. Because when they were in opposition parties, they looked like they were democratic, they accepted different views. Unfortunately, in Jubilee, I can be able to say, for example, that what's happening in Mao is catastrophic, unacceptable. Children in more than 10 schools being removed, exam is time, it's raining, people are out. At least I can say that one without President taking offense, because I have to give an alternative view. If I was elected as a senator and majority leader to just sing choir to the executive and to agree with everything that is being done to the executive led by the president, honestly, Hussein, what would happen?
But that is what they were accusing you of doing before.
That is no, not at all.
I can't remember. I can't remember in 20...
I want you to give me the chance.
I'll give you the chance.
Badi had.
I'll give you the chance, and you've been talking, of course. I'll give you the chance. I'm just saying, I can't remember an instance between 2013 and 2017.
I will show you. I will tell you right now.
Okay, political pundits see this as having happened after the handshake.
I will tell you 100 things.
Okay.
In 2013, Hussein, I led a team of the Senate as the chair of devolution committee to take the government to court. We went to the government to court with the majority leader, Kindiki, and the others. Why was that time not being seen? Because the opposition had taken the space and they were looking like they were speaking on behalf of the country. Since the handshake, you people have now begun to see things soberly and appreciated the contribution some of us make internally within Jubilee, but sometimes publicly. Whether it was my views about lifestyle audit, whether it was my views about the Mao evictions, whether it's my views, which I still stand by, about the Kimware and Road projects, Hussein, it must tell you that when Kenyans elected 6 leaders, they never elected them to sing a choir. They elected them to be able to provide checks and balance. And for the very reason I want you to appreciate that, I am the senator and majority leader of the Senate, which is parliament, because the constitution provides the room for checks and balance. Okay. Unlike my friend Badi, who actually was defending even appointments in government that cannot be defended by Jubilee itself. You see, let me tell you something.
Which appointment?
Let me tell you something.
Which appointment?
You know that it's an obvious fact.
Which one?
Let me tell you.
Which appointment?
Let me tell you something. So many young people. Just tell me the appointments. So many young people have been complaining about appointments of old people or people to chair positions.
So did I support that?
Badi went public and
then
said
you didn't
young people should not be asking for positions of chairmanship. And I remember quoting the Animal Farm and saying that Kenyans sing from there cannot differentiate.
No, you didn't listen to me.
Which one is the human being?
He'll respond to you.
He will respond to me.
Yeah.
So the thing we must put on the table, the reason why the president and the former prime minister delegated their responsibility to a certain committee is because they would appreciate that they don't know exactly the totality of the things that divide this country. The conversation and the issues we are raising, some of us, is to inform that process that we cannot address, for example, say we want to build bridges when we have people who are presiding over that process who have not accepted that they lost elections in 2017. We cannot do the same, and I agree with the person who wrote, and I want to tell you, Mbadi, you see, even if you have this perception that you are in government, I want to tell you how government works.
He thinks he's in government.
He's having that perception. It's an illusion. And I want there's something that the late senator of Laikipia, what was his name?
Gigi
Kariuki told us when we were in Senate together that there's something called illusion of power. And I think Mbadi is consumed by illusion of power to the extent that you are rubbishing positions being raised by common mwananchi like that priest or church leader you've just mentioned their name. It is true. We have so many public documents and things that we should be doing in parliament. We have so many oversight responsibilities in parliament that we should be existing executive to deal with it. That would have made this country a better place than for all of us to imagine.
That are gathering dust.
Exactly, that are gathering dust.
But you're also part of that problem.
Absolutely. It must start by that admission. But Hussein, you can see from even a minority side that the few things we have raised in the Senate, let me give you an example. Yeah, we were pushing for more money to the county. Yeah. Badi, who was in a political party that talked about 45% of the money should go to counties, was the first person to oppose our position.
Okay.
So we're saying, Hussein, though I appreciate that as leadership we have part of this problem, some of us have tried in the Senate to do our best, even if we are called rebels or some people were saying we look like opposition or we look like what, we must always confine ourselves to the truth, because in the fullness of time, truth will prevail.
Okay. As you respond to him, and also...
I did want to lose this.
Okay. Just respond to him first, all right.
You see, I think the bitterness of Murkomen, which I don't know the genesis of it, but probably is because they feel now they're being frustrated in Jubilee, has pushed him.
By who?
Has pushed him. Let me just answer, by who. But let me just say, has pushed you into thinking that I'm enjoying some illusion of power. By the way, you cannot say you want to teach me how government works. You have never been in government. I have been in government. I have been assistant minister. You have never been in government. Just listen. Whether you call it flower girl, you have never been in government. I have been in government until when Deputy President came and ceremoniously removed my documents before I even came to collect my documents from the office of the Prime Minister. But I was there as assistant minister.
What do you mean he unceremoniously removed it?
He ordered our documents to be thrown to the corridors, and we got them scattered.
Who now? All assistant ministers? Or?
No, I was having an office in the current Harambee House Annex. Yes. I was assistant minister in the office of the Prime Minister. And immediately they took over office. Our documents were thrown all over the place. But I'm not going to.
But that is your word. We cannot take your word for. We cannot take your word for.
But just listen.
Let me help you out here. There seems to be a problem, and I come to bring peace.
No, what is this?
There seems to be
There's interruption.
There seems to be a small problem here, and I've come to act as the peacemaker.
Raburu, what is this?
This is...
Now I have to be paid. He has interfered with my line of work. I have to be paid.
You will indeed be paid by the Kenyan populace. However, hello, Hussein, how are you doing?
I'm good. What are you doing?
Yes, I have come here. First of all, this is Murkomen's. So he was, just to show that he was in copy.